Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unedited Me podcast. I'm Sabrina, your host. And today I have my amazing husband here, Oliver. And we are actually coming from our studio today.
Live from studio.
I didn't tell you this, but this is going to be the last time that you make an appearance on the Unedited Me podcast.
Boo.
So I didn't tell you that.
No, you didn't.
But we have something in the works for something else that we want to be doing. Mm-hmm. So today we wanted to end Oliver's appearances on the podcast by talking about our 8th anniversary and what we did this year for our 8th anniversary. Mm-hmm. So how about you share with everybody what we did, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, it's funny that we're doing a podcast about our anniversary, because I think our last podcast was last year. For our anniversary, we spoke about being married for 7 years. And we also spoke about our time in California, which is kind of full circle, that our trip that we did this year in August for our 8th year anniversary was to California.
It was.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was the first time we went to California for tourism. As tourists.
Tourism purposes.
As tourists, to just spend some money.
And also on business, because, ever since that I started this podcast, it was always a dream of mine to be a business owner. My husband and I, 3 years ago, we started our studio, which we're in today, which is amazing. And we're so excited for the continuation of what we have going on here. Some of that you will see taking place in the studio, which I'm super excited about. And so we were able to go on a business trip this year because my business has been thriving and it's been absolutely lovely to see. And we were just able to invest into ourselves this year out of the fruits of our labor, out of the 7-year Jubilee year that we have had this past year. How about you just share about that, kind of where we started this 2022? Because honestly, actually, guys, you have not heard from us since last year, and we have not recorded a podcast since 2021, actually. And so this is, and now, we are in September recording this. So it's been a long time. We haven't really caught you up to date with everything. And so we're excited to do so today. So how about you just start off with that word that we had at the beginning of the year of Jubilee?
In 2021, when the year was ending, Sabrina was trying to understand why things were not picking up with your business, and you were feeling like it was hard, and you had been going at this for like 5 years trying to make your business happen. For you, it was like the end. If this year it doesn't happen, I'm done the 1st of January. I remember specifically telling you that to not give up, because it's 7 years that we've been married, and 2022 is the culmination of all of our efforts for our business, for the goals that we have as a married couple. And plus, we have a friend in California that you went to see that did the same thing. She encouraged you to, that would be really silly to give up at the end of the road where things were going to shift. And she encouraged you to go through. It was funny, it's confirmation from me and from Sarah that you were going to have success, which, funny enough, you did. Starting of the year.
So easing into that, actually. So Sarah is the person that we went to go visit amongst other people in California. And the trip to go see Sarah was a part of a business venture for me. And it was just an amazing culmination. And so just the leading up to California, what happened was that many of you know that Oliver and I are Canadians. And if you don't, now you know we are Canadians. And if you don't know what has been happening in Canada for the past 2 years, it's that the COVID rules were very difficult.
Very strict.
Very strict. We were not able to travel within Canada for a little while. And also traveling outside of Canada was very difficult, especially for those who decided to not take certain medical decisions. And so unfortunately for Oliver and I, we were in that group of people.
Fortunately.
Fortunately, but unfortunately. But honestly, fortunately, because we were able to see so much come out of this journey that we went on, and we're excited to talk to you guys about. But essentially, working up to us going to California, we knew that we were in a Jubilee year of our marriage. We had been in the 7 years of our marriage. Previously, we had gone to California because we were visiting friends. We were going back to Redding, California, where we had done school there. It was always a place that was like a safe haven for us. It was always this place of...
second home.
Yeah, second home of like, this is the place that we go when things are not going well, to resource, to just connect back to God, to connect back to ourselves. And the last time that I had gone to California, I had actually gained vision for the business that we are in today, and the business that I'm building out today in my own business, Sabrina Lawyer, but also in Glory Collaborative, the studio that we're in recording this podcast right now. It was always that place of like going back and letting go of what was here in Montreal and just connecting back to that initial dream of that California dream, I guess, but that initial fun of leaving the place that we were from and reconnecting with ourselves and with who we are together as a couple and with God ultimately. And so this year, coming up to it, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to go to California.
We were believing that we were going to go, but we knew if things didn't change, we weren't going to be able to. Which, till the last second, we had faith for it, and it didn't happen. And we were very nervous because we decided 2 days prior to leaving for our vacation.
Yeah, so we had been discussing about going on this vacation because essentially when you were in that Jubilee year, we wanted to go back to California to reconnect somehow. I had opted into a program with Sarah called Founder's Essence. Through this program, I was able to grow myself as a creative, as a business owner, and to connect with who I am and what I genuinely have to bring to my business and to my creativity.
With your femininity as well.
With my femininity as well, with embodying myself as a woman, with embodying myself as a creative, so on and so forth. And so essentially, I was in this program, and at the end of this program, Sarah was offering a photo shoot in San Diego, California, to culminate the ending of the sessions that we had together of 6 months, which was, half a year to be working together with 2 other beautiful women. And essentially, it was my turn to say, yes, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to make this step to go to San Diego and to do this photo shoot. However, since we had been talking about it for so long and there was this risk of not being able to go, it was heavy in the planning of, are we going? Are we not going? How is this going to really work out?
Yeah, like I said, 2 days prior, we were going by car, by faith, that we were going to cross the borders even though we're not allowed to technically.
Yeah.
We decided, because we heard that some people went through and took a plane from the States and had no issues, and we bought tickets because we really wanted to spend time there. I think it would have ruined our vacation if we went by car. It would have been 3 to 4 days to go and 3 to 4 days to come back.
Yeah, that would have been really difficult.
We would have come back exhausted compared to now coming back. We feel so refreshed.
Yeah, we were praying. We were what are we going to do? How is this going to work? What does this look like? It was really insane, just the process of making the decision to get to California. It felt like it was going to be this time of just embodiment fully with the woman that I had been becoming and have been becoming. And I knew that this time was going to be surreal for me. I knew that it was going to unlock a lot of things for me. And I knew that even for our marriage, it was going to do something. I didn't know what it was going to do. And I still think that there are a lot of things that happened there that I'm still okay, what was that for? What did that mean? Why did we go through that? A lot of different situations, beautiful and ugly alike. And yet I feel like they're still drawing out as the days go on. Now that we're back, we've been back for a month now. And I feel like I'm learning still of how it was and the process. And and everything that we've lived, I feel like I'm experiencing the remnants of what that was, and it was beautiful. And so, yeah, leading up, we were going to drive. We were like, well, if we can't fly, we're going to drive.
Yeah. We bought all our snacks, everything to make sandwiches, all the chips and everything.
Yeah.
We were planning on sleeping in the car and like switching and really driving 41 hours straight. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, we were insane.
It was a level of faith that we had to go on that trip.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I had been texting with a couple of people who also kind of did the trials of going over the borders and seeing how it was at the borders, because honestly, our government and the legacy media is trying to make it seem as though things are scarier than they really are. And so I was not afraid, but I was afraid. I was worried, but I wasn't worried. There was this like middle ground where I was like, how do I feel about all of this? Am I feeling good about this? Am I feeling worried about this? And even like a few weeks prior, I was like, are you sure we can do it, Oliver? Do you think that this is going to be possible? And it wasn't until a couple of days before, and I'm so thankful that I decided to plan this dinner date with this friend. But this friend came over and they really encouraged us and exhorted us and said, hey, you're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You can cross the border. And I've heard that people are able to fly, and there's no issue in the States. They don't ask for any type of requirement or any type of proof. You're going to be great. Everything's going to be great. So literally 2 days prior, as Oliver has been saying, we bought our tickets.
Yeah.
This was the day before our anniversary on the 9th of August, 2022. And then on the 11th of August was our departure date from Burlington, Vermont. And we decided we're going to go for it. We're going to do it. Again, it was based off of this Jubilee year, which if you don't know what that is, I'll briefly explain. You know, in the Bible, it talks about how the year of Jubilee, what they would do is that they would let the soil rest and they would let the fruits of their labor reap and come out. And they would just allow that harvest to come in and just allow the things that they had been laboring for however many years to just come up out of the ground and to surface and to be seen. And we had this in our hearts ever since Oliver had said that, ever since the beginning of this year, when I'd also felt like this was the year for that. And I just had my faith in the fact that that was going to happen. And the day that our anniversary came, the next day we were going on this trip that we had to have faith for.
Big time.
And we were like, you know what? This is going to be like a full circle moment of us deciding to do this trip and to make it happen.
Yeah, everything was on the line at that point when we bought the tickets, because it's not refundable. The tickets are not refundable. So if you can't cross the border, you can't just call it, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it because so-and-so didn't let me in because of so-and-so. It's like you cross and you have your trip, or you don't cross and you have to quarantine for 14 days. That was huge. That was like...
It was big.
The intense feelings that we had when we got to the border. This whole culmination of believing, but at the same time, there could be like this huge deception in the end that nothing happens, and plus you have to quarantine for 14 days. But we got through.
We did get through.
We got through.
We got through.
And I think it took like 30 to 45 minutes for our hearts to cool down and for us to actually say words. Like we were kind of in disbelief that we made it through. So we weren't saying anything to each other. We were just driving to the airport. Like, are there any cops that are going to drive and run towards us and catch us? Like, it's so 100%. Crazy. It's so crazy.
But you know what? We got through, and for those who are wondering and are questioning, okay, what is it like when you're on the other side of the state lines and on the other side of the country? Life is like how it was in 2019.
100%.
Honestly, I didn't see one sign. I didn't see anybody with like masks on. I did see people with masks on in certain areas that were a little bit harder up with the way that they think about things. But in general, people were really great. And there were no, you have to follow these rules or else you will die. It was like, do what you want to do and I'm not going to bother you.
It feels more like there's barely any people wearing the masks. And the people that are wearing the masks most probably are the ones that think they're sick and they don't want to give it to someone.
If you have any questions about that, honestly, it's so simple. It's not that hard. It really isn't what they make it to be out on legacy media and like with the fear that they're trying to put in people. So that's just how we have experienced things. That's our story. Can't say that that's everybody's story, but for the actual trip part, which was super beautiful, you know, we started off our trip in Reading.
Yeah.
So we went
to the Oven City.
Yeah, we went to the Oven City, as Oliver calls it. Reading was a place for us that, again, you know, we were going back and we were connecting with ourselves. We were connecting with God, and we were connecting with our friends who were still there. And this time, it felt different. The last times that I had gone, there was always like this feeling of, I'm so excited to be back. And this time, going in, I was like, I feel like this is going to be the last time that I'm here for a really long time.
Yeah, it did feel like that. To me, it just felt like home. Like you get back to somewhere that you know. Like it's super easy. It feels like a city that you know, but it felt like the time that we had there are good, really good experiences and memories, and we're ready for something else. It's the 7 years. It had been 7 years since we were there and we left. We had everything that happened to us, our business, so much hardship, so much effort put in our marriage, so much invested in us, in building who we are as a couple. And it just felt like this is it. Like we're done with this place. And there's something new for us, something fresh, something like it feels like we're entering into this spring well of creativity that was spoken over us. This season of seeing so many fruits come out of our labor. It really feels like that. And the trip in California felt like it was a promise over us that we would go back, that we would be in California. And it feels like we were back. We enjoyed California. And now it's time for the fruit to bear.
Yeah, like it's time for us to move on from that city and into the promised land is what I've felt almost. Yeah. And so interestingly enough, the day that we left, you know, we were just like ready. We were like ready to leave. We wanted to leave actually the day before because we were like, oh, we don't know what we're doing here anymore, almost is how we felt. We were like... Yeah. And so...
And it was only 3 days.
Yeah, it was only 3 days, but we were like, oh, like, we feel over it. It was like, it didn't feel emotional. It didn't feel like we were trying to escape or anything like that. It just felt like going into a sweater that you really, really love, that you've cherished for so long, and it just doesn't fit anymore. You've grown out of that sweater. It stinks. And it's just nice to look at now as a memory. Now, moving forward is something new. And I'm excited about this something new.
Yeah.
And that was introduced by us going and visiting. And as Oliver said, we were tourists for the first time. We were able to kind of get out and have fun and experience something. And so the next places that we were visiting were places that we had never been before. So we went to San Diego.
Yes, we went to San Diego, but it took 2 days and 12 and a half hours of driving. And honestly, when you're on vacation and you have to drive this much, it takes a toll on your body. Flying for like 8 hours, driving for 12 and a half hours. Like when we got to San Diego, it's like we were there for 8 days and it felt good. It really felt good.
It felt good.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, we went down the Pacific Coast Highway, which is also known as the PCH or Highway 1. I absolutely recommend it for anybody who has never done it before to go along the Pacific Coast Highway, start out in San Francisco, and go all the way down to San Diego or even Tijuana if that's something that interests you. But that is absolutely one of the most beautiful trips that I've been on that we have been on in our marriage.
Oh yeah, together for sure. It's the most beautiful.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah. And it's very different because you have a lot of coastal, and then you have a lot of trees, mountains, and then you have valleys, and then you go back on the side of the water. And
then the city.
Yeah, there's a lot to see. A lot to see.
So beautiful. Absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. So we went and did that for 2 days. And so we went and visited Monterey. We visited the
Pismo
Beach. We visited
Big Sur.
We went through Santa Barbara, LA.
Yeah, we did a lot.
We went through Oceanside and then finally to San Diego. Mm-hmm. And when we arrived in San Diego, we met up with Sarah, which was so nice to just see her in person. Sarah, I've had her on the podcast before, and Sarah's been my friend and mentor. And again, as I said, I was going to San Diego specifically for this culmination business trip that I was on to really culminate this Founder's Essence program that I had been in since the month of March. And so we were really excited to really meet up as the women, as the boss babes women that we had been meeting together. And so all of the ladies that were a part of the program showed up in San Diego, and we were able to connect and meet each other and have some fun together. And it was nice to see people who are actually running for the same things that I was running for. I've been running towards entrepreneurship and building creativity for so long, and there's not a lot of people here that are in my friend group that are doing the same. And so when I did take part and decide to take part in the program, I really was looking for a sense of community, a sense of reconnection, a sense of connecting with other women. And I was finally able to see these women who were running after things that were so different than me, and yet so beautiful to experience and to see what these women were doing with all of the tools that Sarah had given us and had poured into us in the time of the program. And San Diego is absolutely beautiful. It is an amazing city, and I know that Oliver keeps telling me over and over again that he loves it. But how about you explain it for people who've never experienced San Diego?
So if you've never experienced the perfect city, let me tell you, San Diego is. It's a city that is, to me, for what I've experienced, is very well balanced. You have city life, but you have beach life. And you have huge highways, but not as much density as other cities. So you have traffic, but then you have so many lanes that you're good to go. The food, I'm a fan of Mexican food. Mm-hmm. Mexican food is my love language. Mm-hmm. And the Mexican food there, the margaritas, oh my.
The food was amazing.
Yeah, we went to this restaurant called Cafe Coyote. Mm-hmm. Wow. You've had the best tacos. I had amazing enchiladas. The refried beans were insane. Yeah. And we had spicy margaritas. You had a cucumber spicy margarita, and I had a watermelon spicy margarita. Highly recommend. If you're there,
please go visit this place. It was absolutely amazing. Just thinking about it makes me want to drool everywhere.
And I'm hungry, so it's making me too, for sure.
Guys, honestly, just being able to experience the ocean after 2 years of being inside, of being in Montreal, not being able to leave because of certain medical decisions, and it just being pretty hard on the mental health, on the physical health. Mm-hmm. And it was so beautiful to see the ocean, to see the sunset. I did this photo shoot with the girls, finally. One of the last days that we were there in San Diego, and we went to the beach side, and I was able to just take in just this essence of what it's like to live in a place that feels like the world is your oyster. Having experienced life here and how creatives live here in Montreal and how creatives are in California, creatives in California, they know what they want to do. They're running after their projects. They don't care about how many side hustles they have to do in order to get their projects out and into the atmosphere of life. They're having fun going to the beach, but also city life and also restaurants and all that stuff. And there's this thing in the air of, there's this buzz almost of like everybody is connected in some sort of way. And unlike LA, and the fact that LA is a very creative place, people are more connective, a little bit more down to earth, a little bit more like, let's all work together. And it felt so refreshing to experience that, having come from a place, again, like Montreal, which is a little bit more, I do my things alone and you do your things alone. And it's very much fend for yourself and
individualism.
Individualist.
That's the specific, individualist. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a specific word. And
Yeah.
California sometimes can feel like that, but not San Diego. I didn't feel that when I was there. I felt home in the sense that people that are there will be friendly with you for no freaking reason. You buy something at the restaurant, but you ordered the wrong thing. They leave it on the table and then bring you what you want and on the house. It's like,
absolutely crazy.
Who does that?
Absolutely insane.
You go to a restaurant, you have one connection, a random person that you met. They tell you, go to my husband's restaurant. The guy is there. You say, hey, your wife told us to come to your restaurants and eat there. And the guy just randomly brings you a really vintage, really good white wine that I had never tasted, and for free, just like that. And like, who does that? I've never experienced that anywhere else in California or in Montreal, or like really, really down to earth, friendly people that want to connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The experience there was unmatched. It was absolutely amazing. And, just being able to connect also with each other in the time that we were in San Diego. Here at The Unedited Me, we don't shy away from real and raw conversations. And so at one point, Oliver and I got into this argument of just being like almost like a little bit stir crazy of being around each other for every single day for like a week and a half at this point.
I had only been a week, my love.
A week at this point.
I don't think it had been a week. I think we had a lot of stress, and it caused a lot of friction because we were sitting next to each other, driving down. I'm telling you, like going on a plane, driving, and when we were in Reading, it was an oven with smoke. It was very intense, like the heat and like AC and everything. And I think it took a toll on us, and we weren't ready to be on vacation. I think we had to, all the stress accumulated from being on that vacation, we had to make a switch at some point. And we weren't making it. It was not happening. And until we got to San Diego, the switch had not been done. And so the friction was there, and we had a fight because of all the pressure of like, we need to enjoy this vacation. And then boom, we had a fight. And after that, we talked. And we really had a good vacation from there. Really connected and really had a lot of fun. And it was so easy, so simple, so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And that conversation, it was after some harder conversations, but I needed to express the fact that the part of us going to San Diego was really important for me. And I was just expressing that it felt like very like an experience of I'm coming out of the old ways of doing things, out of my old ways and behaviors, and into refreshed ways and behaviors and healthy ways and behaviors, and expressing ourselves in healthier ways, and taking steps of faith and taking steps of embodiment and understanding who I was as a creative, and also the next steps. Up until that point, I was like busy building my business in the past 6 months, and I was really working hard at like building who I am and building my femininity and my CEO calling. And it was a lot of work and it was really hard. It was very grueling. I had to strip a lot of myself in the sense where a lot of my negative and past beliefs of myself, I had to strip a lot of that away. And it was really hard, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And so this time in San Diego was really for me to come out of that and to be telling Oliver that I made it and that I'm ready to get to that next place. My business has been thriving. My business has been growing. My business has experienced new things, and I've been able to express myself in ways that I've never expressed myself before. And it was all coming to this like huge culmination time in San Diego of this photo shoot, meeting the women that I had been building my business with, and alongside as they build their business and alongside me, being mentored, being poured into. And I needed to express that to Oliver, and I did. And from that point on, it was like he understood that it was something I needed to do for my sanity and for my alignment. I'm wondering if you, on your end, saw what that was like from the outside. How was that like for you to see that?
People need to understand that we live over our studio. I work in a studio and you work upstairs in your office. So we're always close, but we don't really know what each other is doing. So I can understand what you do by seeing it on social media and having conversation at night, but I don't understand the fullness of it because I'm not in it with you. And I was not doing the founder sense with you. I was not doing everything that you were doing. So I didn't understand the depth of the meaning of the process in the pilgrimage that you were going to California. And what made me realize in our conversation that the level of the importance, because I knew it was important for you to go to California. It was important to me too, but I put it at the same equal level that we needed a vacation and to relax. But I didn't realize that by you going there, being 27, same age as your mom that went to California in 84 at 27 and lived 2 years in San Diego, in Pasadena, in California, it's next to LA. I didn't understand the meaning behind everything that you went through. And for you, it was a culmination of your career, your mental health, your physical health, and you needed to be there to not like a check mark on I did it. It was more like the glory moment where you've worked so hard and you're like, aha, the where our name for our business comes from, where the name of Glory Collaborative, it's the glory moment. And for you to be there, it was the glorious moment that you had with Sarah and the girls from the program being there, having a photo shoot. And I did not understand it until that moment where we had that conversation and you explained everything in detail. And if I would have to do it again, I think I would be smart and ask you what the meaning is about that. But at the same time, we had a very stressful time before leaving. So I don't think I would have been able to think about it. We were able to enjoy the rest of the trip because we connected, because we had that moment of that emotional, like riled up fighting, a bit of like arguing and yelling and saying mean things to each other, to like crack open our heart and our mind and be like, there's an issue because we're not connecting and we're on vacation, and what's stopping us. And we had this deep conversation about the meaningfulness of this trip for you, which opened my eyes, and I was able to be with you and accompany you in that experience that you were having, which was a culmination of everything you worked for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. You nailed it right on the head. And it's exactly what I needed to go through. And it wasn't only like a separate thing. I knew that it was also for us and for our marriage. Excuse me.
Nice. If you guys didn't know, before she met me, she didn't burp at all. Zero.
And there's just a lot of stuff in our marriage that I wanted to connect and do and to reconnect. And that's what going to Joshua Tree was.
After San Diego, that's where we drove to.
Yeah. And so it was kind of good that we were able to iron things out before we went to Joshua Tree, because Joshua Tree was that place of like retreat, that place of like going away and of reconnecting, and
in the middle of nowhere in the desert.
And Joshua Tree, if you've never been, is absolutely beautiful. It is the desert. And so you're experiencing what desert is like if you've never been to a desert. I had never been to a desert. It's very dry. It's very, it can be lumpy and bumpy, but it can also be like straight.
Lumpy and bumpy?
Yeah.
Cool.
No. And yeah, it was just beautiful. They also have, the reason why it's called Joshua Tree is that they have the quintessential Joshua tree. And so they have many, many, many trees all over the land. And it's this beautiful tree that grows in deserts, but primarily grows in the area of California that is Joshua Tree, a little bit in Arizona, and in
mostly
Israel. Israel being a place that is very important to us. It felt really cool that we were connecting to.
And it's quite amazing that Joshua is Yeshua, and we're in a place where we're going for a retreat, a place where we need to connect in the Joshua Tree National Park. And I don't know, it's just a little wink. It's cool. It's cool that we were there for that.
Yeah, it was really awesome. The area was beautiful. You know, we had like this beautiful night where we were under the stars just watching as the stars were going by, and we were seeing, you know, the galaxy. I saw a lot of shooting stars.
That really sucks, because we were watching for like 3 hours and I didn't see one. And like at some point I'm like having a deep conversation about, I don't remember exactly, but my eyes are closed and I just say a quick prayer. Jesus, show me a shooting star. And by the time that I opened my eyes, Sabrina had already seen one the moment I said it.
Yeah.
And then she saw like 6 more, and I didn't see any for like the next 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally everything that happened. And that's the thing, is that, you know, sometimes, that's what I learned, you know, sometimes your spouse will pray for something and they don't even see it, but you will.
Ooh.
And I think that that's what's absolutely beautiful about a relationship with your spouse or with a husband or with your wife, is this. There are things that sometimes you're contending for in your marriage or in your relationship that you may be praying for, you may be standing together in, you may be trying to get to that point of victory, get to that point of healing or miracle or whatever that is. What it actually looks like is your partner praying for it and then you getting that miracle. Or you praying for it and your partner getting that miracle. And it's not about you're not both getting the miracle. You're experiencing it together.
Yeah.
And of course the situation, Oliver didn't get to experience the shooting stars. But
I'm glad you did, though. I'm glad.
When it goes to things like experiencing fruit within your business, or experiencing healing within your heart, or experiencing reconnection with a family member, you are experiencing that together because of the nature of the fact that you are in relationship together and you're one together. And so that to me was a moment of like, okay, my husband may be praying for something that I'm not, and maybe he is contending for something that I'm not contending for, but we are both going to experience that together.
Yeah, and just sometimes in marriage, the person that needs a breakthrough doesn't have the strength to pray. And the good thing about having a spouse is the spouse could have the strength to do that for you, and you'll see the miracle in your life because your husband or your wife is contending for the miracle in your life. I just think that 7 years of marriage, I've been contending for the breakthrough that you got this year. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of where you're at. It's incredible what you've done, the strength that it took from you to be where you are.
this experience and this whole Jubilee moment really was what we needed in our marriage. And there were so many little winks, so many little times where we felt like God was with us in this journey 100% of the way. Even in the times when we felt like we may have failed, or we felt like we were not, experiencing exactly what we were supposed to experience, or we felt like a little frustrated, or we felt sad, or whatever that was, we were able to look back to the face of the Lord and for him to speak into our life based off of what we were experiencing in this time. And so I think what we learned in that whole time was just to be able to let ourselves experience what it's like to reap the fruit and also to eat the fruit of your labor.
Yeah.
And that's something that the Lord spoke to me after we came back, because I was looking at the numbers, I was counting things up for budgeting purposes, and I was like, dang, like we spent a lot of money. And I really
on restaurant.
Yeah.
On freaking restaurants.
Yeah. And I felt like I heard from the Lord that it's okay because I worked really hard for it. Mm-hmm. And that it was not a big deal for him, that the money was going to come back, and that it wasn't even about the money. It was about the experience. It was about what we learned. It was about what I learned. It was about what Oliver learned. And we were really able to also grow our faith in crossing the border when we did not think that that was going to even be possible. Mm-hmm. And it was a huge testament to what we've been building for the past 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think the spending was not reckless. Sometimes when you go on vacation, you hear a lot of people like, oh, I didn't look at my credit card. I didn't look at this because I didn't care and I just wanted to have fun. But it really wasn't reckless. Like the spending that we were doing was a culmination of efforts given, like sacrifices made, like tightening our belt, like we say in Quebecois, serrer la ceinture. Like that's what we did for 5 years before we went on that vacation. 5 years of paying debts and just making our life stable, starting a business, investing a lot of money. And we were to the place where it was God saying like, rest, have your rest. It was good. It was good. It's your Shabbat is now, like rest and enjoy what you've sown.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
The fruits are really good.
Yeah. So anybody listening, if you are feeling like you are in a restful season, or you feel like you're in a Jubilee year of just living off the fruits of your labor, harvesting that fruit and experiencing what that looks like, then my recommendation is to allow the Holy Spirit to lead you. Let him lead you in the process. Ask him what he thinks about it. Ask him what he has to say, and allow yourself to align to love and align to joy, align to fun and align to rest is what I learned from this season, and what I learned from what we did when we were in California. So, Oliver, thank you so much for being here on the last time that you are here on the Unedited Me podcast. I'm so glad that we were able to do this.
I'm really happy to.
And I'm excited for the future, because we do have some things up our sleeve.
Yes, we do.
That we are going to be sharing with you guys soon, which has to do with the studio. And so thank you guys for being here. If you want to follow us, you can follow me at Sabrina, a lawyer. You can follow my husband at Oliver the Barber. And
Olivier the Barber, sorry. There's an I missing.
Yep, Olivier the
You
Barber.
won't find me if you don't do that.
And
you'll find a bunch of randos.
Yeah. Go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you have not done already. And we will see you in the next podcast. Bye, everyone.